Thank you so much for tuning into Horrible People Podcast. I'm Jenn McDonald, and the horrible person we have on today is Emmanuela. All right, so first of all, how's it going today?
Good. I'm doing really good.
Good, good. Would you mind telling the listeners a little bit about yourself, like who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Emanuela. I am a health and nutrition practitioner. My focus is I help people with their health, and I really specialize on circadian rhythms and quantum biology. So everything to do with the light that you're exposed to, both indoors and out, and how it's affecting everything in your body. So we're all talking about food and additives and what you're putting on your skin, but the single biggest factor is the light that we're exposed to.
Wow, okay. Very cool. I have a lot of questions about that. Definitely. Okay, so first of all, what kind of inspired you or got you started in this?
I was raised a strict vegetarian for my parents, so I didn't even eat any eggs until I was 26. And I was like the healthiest unhealthy person you could find. People were like, "Oh, you're so healthy." I spent all my time outdoors, like all these great things. I'm eating all these vegetables and fruits,
Yeah.
and yet I have all these problems with my health. And that's how I got into the nutrition piece. But when I had my first daughter, she was really bad with sleep from the beginning. So she was waking up every hour and a half,
Oh, wow.
and I was exhausted all the time. And I had my own sleep problems to top it off. And when I had my second kid, I was like, I'm going to die and pull all my hair out. I need to sleep. And I accidentally was introduced to this woman because I was supposed to be writing a cookbook on how to hide organs in your food because I was
Oh,
all about,
okay.
organ meats and seafood. And I was going to go on her podcast. So I went to snoop her, and she had this doctor, Dr. Jack Cruz, who's probably like the father of putting all the pieces together when it comes to quantum biology. And he was talking about how light trumps food and affects all these things. And I didn't believe anything he said, but I didn't have anything to lose, and I was really desperate. So I turned my
Yeah.
whole house upside down with my lights. I started going for sunrise with my daughter. And within a week, things started to change like massively.
Wow. Okay. So, if you don't mind sharing, like, what kind of things did you change sort of in your household and stuff light wise and like why? I know nothing about this and I'm very, very interested in learning more.
So the reason why I changed it has to do with comparing what natural sunlight is in different times of the day and what the lights that we're using in our house are when it comes to colors of visible and non-visible light. What I did, the first thing I did was I switched out all my daytime bulbs from LEDs to incandescents. So the old school filament bulbs that are
Cool.
really warm and get burning hot, right?
Yes.
And then for after sunset, I was using black light, which is also called UVA light, and red bulbs only. I
Okay.
made my TV red. I made my computers red. I made my phone red. And I started watching the sunrise. So I took my daughter every morning. I live in like Burlington. So I took her to the lake, like Ontario, and we watched the sunrise. We sat there and watched all the colors in the sky and watched it come up for like usually 20 to 30 minutes. And then
Beautiful.
we would go home and eat breakfast.
Okay, so you do all of this, before you do anything else in your day,
That's
basically.
right. Exactly.
Okay. And watching, is that something you do every day now is, watch the sunrise and
Yes.
okay. And so what exactly is the, I guess, not science, but benefit behind that?
So all everything our body does is based on clocks. We have a clock in our brain, the master clock called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and it's connected to your pupils. So you have your pupils and you've got like this highway that connects your eye into the clock called the SCN, and then it goes
Okay.
right into your hypothalamus, into all of your brain. And the reason why that's important is because that part of your brain controls everything from cortisol to your sex hormones to your energy status and to when and how active your white blood cells are.
Okay.
So it affects your immunity, your ability to not have allergies, your ability to kill parasites. Everything is connected to this clock
Wow.
mechanism. It's based on timing. You're like a coffee machine. If everything doesn't work in a specific timed sequence, then you're going to have problems. And which problems they are depends on your genetics, your epigenetics, and your body's weaknesses. Okay.
Okay.
So when you watch the sunrise, you instigate that morning light. The sunrise begins with the red. So about 40, 45 minutes before the sun comes over the horizon, the sky is completely red. And then you get some yellows and oranges, and then you get your blue light, a little bit of blue light that comes in, and it tells your
Yes.
body, now's the time to increase cortisol, make you feel alert. Now's
Huh.
the time to start your metabolism so we can digest food and not store extra fat. And now's the time to kick up white blood cells. Like the whole chain of action of everything in your body gets turned on by the sunrise.
Okay. That seems to go like right back to, I guess, you know, before we had, modern society and everything. Like that makes so much sense when we were kind of out living in the wild and it would be something we would see every day.
Exactly.
So,
It's something we
okay.
would be exposed to all the time. And artificial light is new. It's like since what,
Yeah.
1875 or something like that?
Okay, that makes sense. And you see clients, right?
Yes.
So, what kind of work do you do with your clients?
The first thing we always do is we change all their lights. That's
Okay.
always the first thing. And then we start with morning habits. And most of the clients I work with have more complicated issues like maybe cancer, insomnia, Meniere's disease, like inflammation of the inner ear. By the time they come to me, they've usually tried a lot of things because it takes a different level of dedication to do something as annoying as changing out all your lights.
Fair.
It's relatively
Yeah.
simple, relatively inexpensive, but it's such an annoying and strange thing to get your head around for most people.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, even kind of changing your screens and everything to be more red. I mean, I try and do that at night, but then, I'll either forget or it just doesn't like look right. It takes a little while for me to adjust to it. So, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Is there like a particular client that kind of sticks out in your head that was kind of transformative, someone you've really helped a lot?
Yeah. So, like, for example, I had a client with Graves' disease. So, when, they're not hypothyroid, but they're hyperthyroid. So, they have like an overactive
Okay.
thyroid, and it is considered an autoimmune condition. And they had tried to like lower the amount of medication that they were on before, right? Like, they were just like a natural minded person. They didn't want to be on these medications for the rest of their life. And but every time they would do that, their labs would get worse. Um,
Okay.
but after just like a month of starting to do the most basic things, changing the lights, watching the sunrise, all of the thyroid markers improved, even though
Wow.
for the first time they were able to go down to one pill a day instead of three. So
Wow.
it cut it by one third. And instead of, thyroid hormones going all wonky, they actually got better than they were when they were on medications. That's a pretty big change. And it's just like so many little simple things. Just by getting out and seeing that sunrise, they were able to make more thyroid hormones in the right quantities.
That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, that's so impressive. That must have been so, I don't know, rewarding and satisfying to see that change for both of you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like they're so happy and it's often like the mind warp. Like how is it possible that something so simple can have such big effects? And I'm a little sciencey and nerdy in that sense. So sometimes
Okay.
when I get started and I start talking about all these things like ACTH and dopamine and people are just like either they're like I have some clients who are doctors and they
Oh,
get
cool.
it but then, there's the regular person where it's like, I don't understand anything you're saying.
Fair. Yeah. Um, And how do you kind of, because I can see a lot of people getting kind of overwhelmed with this or having a hard time kind of, I don't know, accepting it maybe. How do you
Yep.
deal with clients that might be overwhelmed or have difficulty understanding this?
I really try to drill down the morning light piece because
Okay.
being overwhelmed is a deficiency in dopamine. Like
Oh, okay.
dopamine is what enables you to question things or having like questioning the narrative. That's
Yeah.
dopamine's job. Also being able to handle things that are overwhelming is a dopamine thing. Like one of the first things I noticed after watching the sunrise was that when my little kids ran around screaming, it didn't bother me anymore.
Oh,
I was just like,
okay.
oh, they're having fun. Whereas before I wanted to pull all my hair out.
Yeah, you feel like overstimulated almost, I bet.
Exactly. And all of that just evaporated, and I didn't actually try to do anything. It
Wow.
just happened. And that often tends to happen when you start increasing your dopamine levels. So you go out, you get the sunlight to hit your eyes, you're lowering the dopamine reduction of artificial light. So LEDs, your computer, your phone is all lowering your dopamine. And so you're going to do the opposite, right? You're going to reduce the blue light coming from those devices and you're going to get all the sunlight in and you're going to increase that. And all of a sudden, everything seems more possible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it seems almost grounding. Um,
Yes.
for someone that has, I guess, like this just sort of popped into my head, for somebody that has mobility issues or might not be able to get outside, is this something they can do, looking out a window that's facing the sun, or is it better to just be out there?
So they need to be outside. There are
Okay.
ways that you can get light throughout your day by cracking open the window and then
Oh,
you're
okay.
letting everything in. However, for sunrise, it's the one time where there can't be anything between your pupils and the sun. So
Okay.
no contacts, no glasses of any kind, no sunglasses, like nothing, no windows. They all change the wavelengths that are coming in. So modern windows with their energy efficient coatings are actually preventing infrared and a lot of red light from
Oh,
entering because infrared is another word for heat. So by
okay.
trying to keep the heat out in the summer and the heat in the winter, you're preventing infrared light from entering through your window, and then it's blocking UV light as well.
Fair.
And UV light's going to be really critical for a lot of functions, including happiness. UVA light is how your body makes melatonin, which puts you
Okay.
to bed and is your body's largest antioxidant. So you really need the light to hit your pupils. You don't need to look at the sun. You just need there to be nothing between your pupils and the light.
Fair enough. Okay.
You
That
could
makes
go out in
sense.
the front yard or, backyard. You don't have to travel to the lake. I just enjoy that. I find the water is calming and it's a nice process.
Beautiful.
Exactly. But you could
100%.
just, go outside or when it's pouring, for example, I will put my stool in front of the patio door and I'll open the patio door all the way.
Oh, okay. Awesome. That works. Yeah, because I was thinking like it's been so rainy and terrible here in Ontario the past. I'm in Eastern Ontario. You said you're in Burlington, right? So the
Yeah.
weather's just been like horrible. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to be sitting out there in the blizzard or the freezing rain. So yeah, that would be a good option there.
Yeah. Like if it's just a light rain, then I'll go out for a walk,
Oh, 100%.
But if it's pouring cats and dogs, then I can be lazy too.
Yeah, fair enough. That's definitely something I want to try implementing in my morning schedule, I think. Because I mean, when I'm out hunting, even if I get to watch the sun come up, I don't know if it's because I'm outside and I feel better that day. I
Yeah.
feel more inspired, more motivated, more energetic. So, yeah, I can totally see how consistently doing that would really make a big difference.
And it really is all of the above. Like the sun makes you happy. It hits on all of your opioid receptors, like the same ones that make things like, codeine and morphine addictive.
Oh, yeah, I guess, eh?
Yes.
Okay.
You're meant to be addicted to the sun.
Which, I mean, not a bad thing. I did see a post actually going back. to what you were saying before about the sun being blocked, I saw a post on your Instagram recently talking about using sunglasses or not using sunglasses. Could you maybe explain that a little bit? Was it just basically the fact that you're being blocked? Is it sunglasses all the time?
All of the above. So it's normal for your eyes to be really sensitive to the sun's light when you spend all your time in front of screens or under artificial light. The pupil itself is an involuntary muscle, right? You know how it gets really tiny when the lights are bright and really big when
Yes.
it's dark? The neurotransmitter that controls the ability of your pupil to get smaller and bigger is dopamine. So when you drop your dopamine from staring in a screen, that muscle becomes weak, essentially, and it
Okay.
can't close fast enough. So you're going outside under the light, and that muscle, it's involuntary. You can't make your pupils smaller. Be like, pupils, get smaller. It doesn't
Yeah,
work. So you don't have enough dopamine, your pupils can't get smaller, and you're like, oh, it's so bright. Whereas if
totally.
you are eliminating, the first thing usually I recommend to do before you reduce the sunglasses is outside of obviously watching sunrise without sunglasses, your morning and evening light, but also is eliminating your blues from your day. So changing the tint of your computer, your phone, changing your lights, because within a day or two,
Mm,
you're no longer going to be sensitive to the sun.
okay. Wow, that's a really quick changeover too.
It can be really fast. Obviously, if you're working in an office, right, where you have no
Oh, that
control over the lights,
fluorescent. Yeah,
you're either going to have to wear the glasses. And at the beginning, everything is going to feel really dark. You're going to be like, oh my God, it's so dark. And then your melatonin production is going to kick up, and melatonin thins your pupils and makes you able to see better in the dark.
okay, okay.
So all of a sudden, you're going to be able to see in the dark, which is a thing that people are often really surprised by. They're
Yes,
like,
I bet.
I can't see. And then after a week or so of following the routine, if they're strict with their indoor lights, all of a sudden they don't need the light anymore because they could see.
Oh, that would be so handy for so many things.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, because I mean, like I was saying before, when I try and change my screens over, I do that all the time. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna like finally do it. I'm gonna change my screen so I don't have that blue light blaring in my face and then issues sleeping. I'm like, oh, I can't really see this properly. I think I just need to give it more time.
Yeah, and the outside lights that are out first, and then also slowly reducing. So the temperature of your screen or how blue it is usually measured by something called kelvins. Have you ever seen the letter
Oh,
K beside a light bulb when you're buying it?
yeah.
Yeah, so that stands for kelvins, and you want to work it down to 2700 kelvins for
Okay.
daytime and 1700 kelvins for evening and early morning.
Wow. Okay.
So it,
That's
it doesn't
awesome.
have to be immediate, right? Like I use Iris, which is a paid thing, but I think it's $15 for lifetime.
Oh,
And then you can actually control the actual kelvins. Whereas if you have a PC or Mac, they're just sliders that you play with.
that's it. Yeah. I run off a Mac, so I'm just like
Yeah.
kind of playing around with that to try and see, how low I can get it, but still read my emails without kind of straining or feeling awkward or anything like that. So,
And
okay,
Macs
that
are
makes sense.
great because the night shift actually is quite good. If you toggle the night shift on 24/7 and you have it on max warmth, it's still clear enough to see in bright sunlight. Like today is freezing cold outside, but usually I work
Yes.
outdoors and I
Amazing.
can still see my computer screen with the warm, like max warmth night shift light on.
Perfect. Okay. So do you run your night shift kind of all the time then?
I do on my phone. On the computer, I usually use Iris.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, Iris. That's really cool. And you also do, so I saw on, whenever I looked into you a little bit further, traditionally nourished. So, first of all, I guess, what does a typical day of, eating, your diet, everything like that kind of look like?
I'm a heavily seasonal eater. And I follow the light cycles a lot. So after watching
Cool.
the sunrise, I eat breakfast within 30 minutes to an hour of the sun coming up over the horizon. So
Okay.
like right this morning, that was 6:47, I believe. So I would eat by 7:47. And breakfast is usually very big. So 50 grams of fat and protein combined and whatever's available. So it's April 8th here in Canada where we are. The only real thing in season would be maybe like leek, garlic,
Yeah.
onion, and meat and fish, right?
Oh, yes.
So that's pretty much all I'm eating. I do add low sugar vegetables here and there for like flavor in my dishes
Okay.
because I get bored and my husband complains. Uh,
Yeah.
but mostly I'm eating meat and seafood, eggs, dairy primarily as the base in the winter and early spring.
Okay. Huh, that's very fascinating.
And
So
then
how
whatever the
does, oh
farmers
yeah.
markets carries, right? So like
Okay,
when
love
the
that.
farmers markets come in and then the strawberries come in season, then I'll eat some of those and whatever vegetables are growing, I'll just follow that.
I love that. Okay, very much, what's available at that time. Do
Yes.
you do a lot of foraging? Do you get to go out and do that?
Don't get to do enough. I try to get out for mushrooms. I forage for like uh those dandelion or chicory leaves. That's what they're called in English, right?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Yeah, to make a salad from that.
Yum.
Um anything that I can find. I haven't gotten out that much in the last year.
It's so hard, for sure. Yeah. I mean, some stuff's available like right in the backyard or in a park or something like that, and other things you have to search forever to find a good spot.
Exactly. And that's kind of the guide that I use when I think about how many vegetables to eat, right? Or fruits. Like, how hard is it to collect enough fruits and vegetables with foraging to fill your plate? It's impossible.
100%.
But like one
No.
goose is like 3 meals, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's fair. How does traditional nutrition differ from, what people are eating in modern day?
I really think that the information today in modern day is misguided for several reasons. Actually, the main one is because all of the things that they teach you, even as a holistic nutritionist, and especially as a dietitian, or if you have a master's in nutrition, it's based on research that are all questionnaire based. So, this is what they do they poll hundreds of people and ask them what they ate in the last 6 months. Do you remember what you ate
Oh,
in the last 6 months?
not even a little bit. I don't know what I ate yesterday.
Exactly. And they actually use this as the base guidelines for everything that a healthy person should eat.
That's insane.
It's
I
wild.
mean, especially with fast food being so acceptable, like not acceptable, so accessible. And I mean, I feel like that's what so many people just consume nowadays is something, quick, easy, maybe not super nutrient rich.
Yep. And everybody
Wow.
thinks nutrient rich means all of the colors of the rainbow. But when in the history
Yeah.
of mankind have we ever had access to the rainbow?
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, if I was to make a dish out of things that was either hunted or foraged, it's going to look pretty bland.
Exactly. Exactly. And like
Fair
that's
enough.
anytime someone has a question and is like, how do I know what to believe? How do I understand all the information that's out there? And I always say the first question you should ask yourself is this something we would have done? And
Yeah.
that's where the traditionally nourished, comes in.
No, that makes total sense. And as far as, eating stuff that's readily available or eating things that are in season, what are your thoughts on supplements? Because I know that's such a big thing in modern society too. People are just, I feel like they're just substituting everything with supplements.
They are, and it's a form of drive-through medicine and turned quote unquote holistic, right?
Okay.
Even for supplements like fish oil supplements are probably super common. Everyone's like, oh, aren't they great? But when I work with someone, I always have them get their omega 3 to 6 ratios tested. And I
Oh,
have
okay.
never seen a good 3 to 6 ratio on someone who takes supplements. It
Okay.
doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of brings me back to whenever I worked in veterinary medicine. We worked with a lot of, people that had horses and they were pumping their horses full of these supplements and nutrients and little pills and stuff. And we would test them and we're like, your horse is still deficient in all of these things. Like, I feel like they're just peeing out all of this stuff that you're giving them. So yeah, I can totally see how that's just not it.
And the crazy thing is that a lot of vitamins, like B12 deficiency, gets talked about a lot,
Yes.
right? But did you know that methylation of B12, so your body's manufacture of B12 is light dependent?
Oh, okay.
So being not getting enough sunlight actually downregulates your body's ability to make and hold on to B12.
Okay, so you need that to be able to absorb it properly, I guess.
And to make it, right, from other
Oh,
compounds,
okay.
like or from your
Okay.
food or, when the cells make it and then they use it, you need the sun to activate that process.
Fair enough. Okay, that makes sense. Um, Now, obviously light plays, a huge factor, as you were saying, the sun. What is your opinion on like sunscreens and people that are really pushing, the sun causes skin cancer and the sun is on your skin is not healthy?
It's such a funny topic for a few reasons. One, because if you actually were to go and read the dermatology literature yourself versus like the news headlines, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You will find the holes in the research immediately. Like in
Okay.
the big meta-analysis study that they did on the sun and skin cancer, melanoma specifically, which is a scary one, right?
Yeah.
It says on there that those at highest risk for melanoma are those with occasional sun exposure, and those at lowest risk for melanoma are those with chronic sun exposure.
Wow.
And then so the issue is that when you're doing a scientific study, you need to control for a lot of factors,
Okay.
and they never use the sun because being outdoors allows all of these other factors in, like dirt, pollen, and everything. So they're always using artificial light. So every research paper ever
Oh,
done on UV light was done using a fake light.
wow. I did not know that.
The sun is unique because it's something called it's non-polarized light. And
Okay.
all artificial light, both good, bad, mediocre, is polarized because of the AC electric current. We don't have the ability or technology to make a non-polarized light. And polarization changes a lot of things in your body. So that's one very important distinguishing factor. And the other one is that they do not control, when they look at skin cancer or melanoma, how much time you spend indoors versus outside. Everyone is thinking, I have a client who was trying to avoid the sunscreen, like I told her, because she had
Okay.
controlled her indoor lights, but she was still wearing sunscreen on her face and her chest, right here. And she was like,
Yes.
I always burn there. And it's more sensitive to the sun. And I asked her, I said, because she works in front of a computer all day, like that's her job. I said,
Yeah.
what part of your body is facing the blue light on your computer all day? Oh, my face and my chest. And I'm like, that's why you're burning. Because when you absorb the blue light and you go out into the sunlight, it screws with your body's ability to make melanin
Oh my
and
gosh.
to replicate those skin cells, the ones that make you pigmented and the ones that when they go haywire cause melanoma. It's the same cell, right? So if you're bathing in blue light, where most of us spend our time naked, and then we get
Yeah.
skin cancer, we blame the sun, you have to really question and say, well, where did I spend most of my time?
Yeah, that's totally true. Okay. And do you, whenever you're working with a client suggesting, they reduce their sunscreen use, is there like an alternative or is it just like stop using sunscreen, stop using artificial light or blue light, I should
First the
say?
light, and with So if you have a bad light environment, you're still fixing it, you could do morning and evening light where it's almost all red and there's no UV. So the more
Okay.
red light your skin absorbs, the better you're going to be able to tolerate a strong UV light and get
Amazing.
a nice tan instead of burning or anything like that. Your food intake matters too. That's why lots of people who go carnivore or eat tons of seafood will say, or maybe they cut out seed oils and they say they never burn anymore.
Oh,
Because
okay.
your 3 to 6 ratio affects not just your ability to burn, but the chances of you getting frostbite.
Oh, wow.
So it's very important. And those would be the first factors, particularly the light, because having bad light will make it more likely for your skin cells to not be able to replicate properly, which is a risk whether you're in the sun or not. When I
Okay.
transitioned over, I ditched the sunscreen before I actually changed my lights and I used coconut oil at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
It's like got reflective properties,
Oh,
a very short lifespan. Like you have to reapply it every 20 minutes or something like that. But I really only did it at the beginning before
okay.
I understood the whole light. Um, so to put that into perspective, when I go shooting at the club and I have to wear protective glasses,
Yes.
I get burned.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But if I'm outside, because that's the only time I wear anything over my eyes, that is also the only time I will burn. And it's not even a
Wow.
stronger day. I'll go there on a day where it's not that hot. The UV index isn't that high. And I'm there for, say, 3 hours before I get tired or have to go home and I'm burning. And yet I have gone to the beach with my friends and stayed there from sunrise to sunset without wearing anything, right? No
And it's
coconut oil,
fine.
nothing. And I don't burn one bit.
So diet plays a huge factor in that morning sun, that
Yeah. And
night.
then your glasses and sunglasses. And that is something to
Yeah.
consider, right? If you wear glasses, then you might want to use a little bit of coconut oil at the beginning because your chances of burning when there's something on your eyes is much higher.
Okay. I've always felt uncomfortable wearing sunglasses, so I almost never wear sunglasses to begin with, but then I'm always telling myself like, "Oh, this is probably really bad for my eyes to not be wearing these," but that makes me feel
Yeah, you
better.
don't have to worry.
Good. No, that makes me feel better for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Now you grew up vegetarian, but you said you hadn't eaten any eggs or anything like that. So was it kind of more vegan or was it just, like
Was
strict?
just vegetarian for most of that. I was vegan for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Almost 10 years. Yeah. I was basically chasing health, right? I was willing to try anything to fix my problems. I had lots of problems with like my menstrual cycle and then when I was 18, my sleep as well, like skin, like all of these issues I had. And so I was trying to figure out what it was. And because I was raised vegetarian, it's kind of hard to make that leap from being vegetarian to be like,
Totally.
oh, you know what? This is the wrong idea completely. I gotta eat meat and fish. So the first thing I tried was being vegan, and then I went from vegan to basically eating everything.
Okay. And how was that transition? Did you find it hard to start eating meat to begin with? Like, did your body have a hard time adjusting or your palate have a hard time adjusting to the taste of meat?
I didn't know how to cook it. That was the most challenging thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Other than
fair.
that, no. I had really bad iron levels and I was trying to supplement like back then. And at first I just started eating some dairy and a little bit of seafood but not much. But when I full on introduced red meat, I tripled my stored iron in 30 days.
Wow.
Like just,
Okay. That's
yeah.
crazy. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I just, got told recently that my iron's a bit low, so I need to take iron supplements. But then I'm also thinking, like, I've got so much red meat in the freezer. I could just start eating more red meat and see how that goes.
Yep. And iron is a really interesting thing because most factors that contribute to iron deficiency, they're looking at your red blood cells, so your hemoglobin. What
Okay.
they're actually looking at is how much oxygen is bound to your red blood cells. And oxygen
Okay.
binding capacity is also sunlight dependent. You can
Okay.
increase the oxygen that binds to your red blood cells by getting more sun. And
Okay. Yeah.
artificial blue light destroys something called heme-based proteins. The heme-based protein that everybody knows about is hemoglobin.
Oh, okay.
So artificial blue light is destroying your hemoglobin, making you anemic.
Okay. Wow. And have you ever had, or do you ever experience like people or like just the general public, I should say, or medical professionals kind of push back against your, I don't want to say views, but what you teach? Or is it
Yeah.
generally accepted? Okay.
Definitely. It's not accepted at all, even though there are lots of doctors who are learning about this and talking about it.
Yeah.
And even though the research is primarily medical and began, in the 1930s with Alexander Gurwitch, people don't understand physics, and doctors primarily, especially those in the medical establishment, so like dietitians, masters, PhDs in medicine and life science, focus all on biochemistry, and they don't actually learn the intricacies of physics. They don't play well together. And
Okay.
honestly, the more education you have, the more indoctrinated you become. And it just becomes impossible to question the narrative, even when things are right in front of your face. Like if I send a paper to someone and be like, here, look at this really, well-known and respected PhD doing research on this topic, and they can't put the pieces together because there isn't a randomized controlled clinical trial that's telling you that you should
Wow.
do this, so they don't believe it. And for
Okay.
me, honestly, I don't really care.
Yeah, good.
I'm like, you know what? Like, you're already too set in your ways. You're not the kind of person I want to influence. I want to influence the person who can sense that there's something missing, who's looking for the missing piece.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Somebody that's more open-minded, somebody that kind of respects or understands that traditional way of life, which I love. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, with COVID, did you feel there must have been such a, because some people were abiding by those rules of like, don't leave your house. And I'm sure the lack of sun exposure must have played a huge factor in the increase in anxiety and depression and everything that we saw.
Yeah. All of your happiness signals, dopamine, serotonin, they all need the sun. And also the move towards digital learning for kids made everything take a
Oh,
massive dip. Anxiety increased in everybody because being under blue light makes you anxious because it's lowering serotonin, dopamine, melatonin, all of the happiness
that's
hormones,
so
whatever you want to.
true, eh? They're just kind of propped in front of a computer all day.
Yeah. Yeah. And they went
Oh,
from,
yeah.
I know parents who went from telling me they had a doctor come in and tell them that the maximum safe amount of screen time that kids should get is 1 hour a day, to all of a sudden the lockdowns happened. And now, oh, too bad. Your kid's going to spend all day in front of a screen, and so are you. And God forbid you go outside, you're going to
I
die.
know. That was wild.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
at the same time though, it was almost good. I've been in the alternative space like from a vaccine perspective since I was a kid. So my
Okay.
parents jumped on that bandwagon when I was
Oh,
really, really
awesome.
young. So I thought it was funny when people were complaining about being discriminated against when they weren't getting vaccinated. I'm like, I've been discriminated against my entire life. I once had a
Yeah.
friend tell me I had to buy new clothes to visit her house because I wasn't vaccinated.
That is craziness.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
it's
God.
not new. I
Yeah,
love that it became into public awareness with COVID, but I've had
you're
that kind of
right.
reaction like you have the cooties all the
That's
time.
terrible. Yeah, I guess it really did open up a lot of people's eyes and minds to the fact that like something's not right about what we're being told to do
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
mainstream and everything. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay. Yeah, so we're coming up to the 45-minute mark. I've learned so much. This has been so eye-opening for me, and it's going to be very eye-opening for so many people. To finish it off, can you tell us a bit about the shooting that you do? I see pictures of you at the gun range very often. What kind of outdoor activities do you do? What got you into firearms?
I it was COVID. COVID
Oh,
happened,
really?
and I
Okay.
was like, "That's it. I want more control over my life and my food." And so I got my hunting license. And at first I was like, "I'm gonna do archery," because I'm like a traditional person. I love the concept of it.
Cool.
And then I was like, "No, I want to bird hunt." So I went and
It's
got
fun.
my license. I got both my non-restricted and restricted license right away in the middle of COVID.
Nice.
And I was like, now I need to learn how to shoot. What am I going to do? And the only club that I could join was the Hamilton Gun Club, which is like skeet and trap only, right? It's a shotgun only club.
Yeah.
Because the other ones needed like a referral or something like that in my
Oh,
area. And I
yeah.
didn't know anybody who hunted or shooted. Like I was like, a lone wolf. My husband at the time, he was like, "You used to be vegan and now you want to kill animals?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. You have a problem?"
I love it.
So, and then I fell in love with skeet. It wasn't intentional. I just started liking it so much.
Yeah.
And I had so many gun problems. That was really small. I'm 5'1". And every time
Okay.
I would go to the gun shop, the person at the store would be like, "You're small. You need a light gun."
Yep.
So
I am 5'0" and I deal with the exact same thing.
yeah, yeah. So, a couple years later, I now have a 10-pound gun for skeet.
Awesome.
I have lead in the back of my SXP for,
Oh,
bird hunting to make it heavy. I think it's 8.5 pounds or so now. I increased the weight.
awesome.
And my favorite is birds, like, goose,
So
whatever.
fun, so action-packed, so
But
much you can do with your
yeah,
harvest afterwards.
but my hunting is limited with my kids, and I used to take my little one with me on my back. And so I did a lot of squirrel hunting with a subsonic 22.
Oh, cool.
They don't make
Okay.
noise, right? It's like a
Yeah,
ping.
that's so smart.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not very good
Okay.
at rifle shooting. Let's just say I need practice.
It takes practice, it takes time, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, that's really exciting. I like that story. All right. Well, before I let you go then, where can people find you? Because I think people definitely need to look you up, give you a follow, because I mean, even from just following your Instagram, I've learned so much, and just your posts kind of inspire me to get outside more, work outside. And even before I knew everything that you just taught me in this conversation, I was like, okay, I need more light on me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on Instagram and Facebook is where I'm most active. I'm on X as well, but I'm trying to juggle everything.
Mhm.
Um, So you can find me on Instagram. I'm at traditionallynourished.ca. And on Facebook, I'm under my married name. So I'm Emmanuela Spirovsky. That's my
Okay.
name, but the profile picture is the same in both of them. I work with clients one-on-one, and I have an online program like Course and Community. It was on Facebook, but it's moving to school so the second round is going to be open in May.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to link all of your information in the show notes. So, anybody listening, if you don't want to go on there and try and search, just click the links below. You'll
Yeah.
find her. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Honestly, this was like so much more eye opening. I learned way more than I thought I would. So, I very much appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice talking to you.
Yes, you too. After following each other on social media for so long, it's nice to be able to
Yeah,
talk face to face.
exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.